And there were new developments overnight in the National Security Agency story, the story of those leaks. The latest is now Der Spiegel, a German magazine, is reporting that the United States spied on the European Union. One person, and a top official in the German government, is now charging that the United States is using the kind of Cold War tactics on its allies that were used by its enemies during the Cold War. Here to talk to us about this, the former head of the National Security Agency, General Michael Hayden. General, what about this latest story? Have we been spying on the European Union?
Well, first of all, Bob, I've been out of government for about 5 years, so I really don't know. And even if I did, I wouldn't confirm or deny it. But I think I can confirm a few things for you here this morning. Number one, the United States does conduct espionage. Number two, our Fourth Amendment, which protects Americans' privacy, is not an international treaty. And number three, any European who wants to go out and rend their garments with regard to international espionage should look first and find out what their own governments are doing.
Well, as I understand it, we were corralling something like 1 billion emails a month from Germany.
I have no idea, Bob. I really don't. And let's keep in mind that in a global telecommunications infrastructure, geography doesn't mean what it used to be. Things of a place may not be in a place, and things in a place may not be of a place. I mean, the internet actually lacks geography. And so I wouldn't draw any immediate conclusions with regard to some of those numbers that have been put out there as to who's being targeted and who isn't.
In the meantime, in between time, Edward Snowden, this former employee of the National Security Agency who got out of town, headed first to China. We now think he's in the airport in Russia, had 4 computers full of stuff. But the president seems fairly sanguine about all of this. I noticed this morning he said, look, I'm not going to launch jets to chase down this hacker. We'll follow the usual law enforcement channels. Should we be more aggressive about this?
I personally think we should be, and I think the president's trying to limit diplomatic and perhaps even political damage. But the leadership of the American intelligence community has caused the damage from these leaks so far, and it's very clear there's going to be some more here, so far has been significant and irreversible. That's a big deal.
You think there has been significant damage done by Edward Snowden?
I do.
Just because it's been exposed and we're getting this kind of publicity from Germany now, or because of operational things that have been disclosed?
Three things. Number one, operational things that have been disclosed. I mean, you're a newsman. You know about protecting sources and methods. And here now, our sources and methods have been made public. So that's one. Second, look, we cooperate with a lot of governments around the world. They expect us to be discreet about that cooperation. I can't imagine a government anywhere on the planet who now believes we can keep a secret.
We appreciate you coming to talk to us this morning, because it's not easy to get people from the government that are in the government. Now, do you think the government ought to be doing more to help the American people understand what's happening here?
Look, one of the results of the Snowden leaks is that it's launched in a national debate about the balance between privacy and security. I'm convinced the more the American people know exactly what it is we are doing in this balance between privacy and security, the more they know, the more comfortable they will feel. So frankly, I think we ought to be doing a bit more to explain what it is we're doing, why, and the very tight safeguards under which we're operating.
You know, this week it was disclosed that General Cartwright, who was the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs, known to be very close to the administration. It comes out that he now is being investigated about some of these leaks. Is it conceivable to you that that General Cartwright could be the leaker here?
Well, look, besides being close to the administration, Jim Cartwright is close to me. He was a good friend while I was on active duty. I mean, we do not produce better officers than Jim Cartwright. And so as this evolves, I certainly pray that it doesn't lead to any kind of personal or national tragedy as we move forward on this. But, Bob, that reflects the question you just asked a few minutes ago. How are we in a free society to have a healthy dialogue between those in government who must do necessary and necessarily secret things, an American public who deserves at least some broad outline about what it is we're doing to protect them. I mean, this is a true dilemma.
You sound to me like this morning, General, you are calling on the administration, or at least basically pleading with the administration, to give us more information about what's going on here.
Well, here's how I do the math, Bob. In an ideal world, I'd keep all of this secret, because any of it that I make public slices some of my operational advantage away from me. But here's what I've learned heading up both NSA and CIA. You may be able to do one thing one-off based upon narrow legalness and the president's authorization, but democracies like ours don't get to do something over a long period of time without national consensus. So I'm willing to shave points off of my operational effectiveness in order to make the American people a bit more comfortable about what it is we're doing. Otherwise, the American people won't let us do it in the first place.
Story in the Washington Post this morning that basically said that critics are saying that the secret court, the FISA court that authorizes all of this, was the stories that some critics suggest that FISA was just a rubber stamp for whatever the administration wanted to do. The story says that you actually met with the FISA court judge who took great exception to that version of history.
Right.
Was that unusual for you to be meeting with her?
It was. Normally, we go down to the court to get warrants in a very routine manner. What was happening in the summer of 2004 was not at all routine. It was quite a different kind of court order that we were seeking, and I can't go into the specific operational details, but it was an unprecedented court order that we had to explain to Judge Kohler-Katelwi why we wanted it, what the trade-offs would be, how we could manage it, and then, frankly, take an awful lot of her guidance as to how we would have to do it if she were even to contemplate giving us a warrant to do it.
About out of time here, but let me just ask you, in your view, was the FISA court rubber stamping whatever the government wanted to do?
No, not at all. And I know people point to the number of warrants we request and the number of warrants we get saying it's rubber stamp. Actually, Bob, I would turn that on its head. That tells me we weren't pressing the court hard enough. We weren't giving them any tough decisions.
Thank you very much, General.
Thank you.
And we'll be back in 1 minute.